Thank you so much for attending. I know it's the end of the day, but don't worry, the pub's not too far away. So I'm going to jump straight in, and there's a chance for questions at the end. So integrated SEO, what we're going to have a look at is where is SEO now, what's changed, what's been the response to that, and how should you respond? So where is SEO now in terms of SEO integration? Rankings. I think actually if I did a survey of everybody in this room, we'd probably find that still a lot of people that are focusing on rankings, ranking positions, a lot of MDs, directors are still asking about positions, and they're still focusing on, you know, it increases one rank, 2 ranks, etc. But actually I think for now we need to move on from that, and I will explain why a little bit later. I think in terms of looking at the separate channels of marketing, we're looking at digital PR, SEO, social, etc., but they're still seen as separate silos. I feel like we're starting to get a little bit further into integrating them together, but I think they're still very much seen to be separate silos. Sorry, tongue twist there. In terms of structures, internal structures, I think we're still seeing that marketing sits alone. Actually, in a session this morning, somebody mentioned that it was 88% of companies that still have marketing segregated from the rest of the business. So in terms of the actual structural integration, I think that we've still got a lot of improvements to be done there as well. So what's changed? First of all, I want to start with the Hummingbird. I just want to see by a show of hands, who's heard of the Hummingbird algorithm? Okay, so probably about 80% of the room. And who actually knows how they can apply that to their strategy and change their strategy because of Hummingbird? Okay, so quite not very many of you. So in terms of Hummingbird, I'm not going to go into the details of what it is, what the change is, but just to set the scene a little bit, it actually for us, we see it as a really positive thing, because it means that we're going to be focusing more on content rather than specific keywords. It's actually moved on into a conversational and semantic search. And again, for SEOs, I see this as a really positive thing. Rather than looking at specific rankings increasing here, there, we're actually starting to look more at what's the actual content that we're writing for our users, and what questions are our audience actually asking, in terms of how we can help our users to find the right information. I think this is really important. And the way that Google have kind of explained it is that instead of them looking at a query string and picking out specific keywords within that query string, they're actually now trying to look more at the sentence as a whole to try and understand what people are trying to find. And this next slide just goes into a little bit more detail, that it's focusing on looking at the how, the where, the why, what, and the when. They want to start to become a search engine that doesn't necessarily focus on results, but it more focuses on answers. Sounds quite similar to another search engine that we all know. But actually this comes about where we can actually start to look at people searching things like, where is the nearest pizza shop to me, those sorts of questions. So it's a more sort of conversational search engine. And with the increase of mobile and voice search, this is actually a reason why they're starting to look into this. Again, for us it's great. So what's the response been to Penguin and Panda? Penguin and Panda were actually updates, whereas Hummingbird is actually a change in algorithm. It's a new algorithm. The last time they did this was 2001, whereas Penguin and Panda were updates to an original algorithm that was already in play. It actually was running for a month before the official announcement was made, and there was nobody sort of realised it had happened, so it wasn't a drastic change. It was more about moving it more into that long tail, looking at that long tail traffic where people are asking questions and trying to answer it with content. So what's been the response to Panda and Penguin? Well, actually, it was that everyone realised that content was really important, and that's great, content is important, but it wasn't targeted. A lot of people have just started writing lots of content, agencies recommending we need content, marketing departments, we need to look at content. So all of a sudden there's lots and lots of content out there, but it actually waters down, potentially think about your resource, the amount of resource it takes to write that content. Whereas I think what we've missed is being targeted to your actual audience, the people that are actually going to go through your buying funnel, and actually that content's going to be useful to them, helping them make that decision, rather than writing content for the sake of it. And everyone's trying to respond, so all of your competition are going to be doing exactly the same things. I'm sure in each industry that everyone's in, you start to see that people are writing similar content to one another. So what makes you unique, Content is at the core. I'm sure you've all heard of the term content is king. It's been bashed about lots of times, but content really is core, but it's attracting to the right audience. And I wanted to highlight here that content doesn't actually just need to be written text. I still speak to people, new prospective clients, and they're thinking of content as just written text all the time. And actually content can be anything from graphs, interviews, reports, infographics. All of these things are great methods of content, and it's about integrating all of those into your strategy. So how should we respond to Hummingbird? How should we make sure that what we're doing is the right thing to do? At 4P's Marketing, this is a diagram that we like to use, where actually I think this explains for us the cycle really easily. At the beginning, at the core, there's your strategy. So within this phase, it's the research, trying to understand who your audience are, where they are, what it is they're searching for, and that I feel sometimes is the part that's missing. I imagine a lot of us have heard of the Google keyword tool, which is now Keyword Planner. Using that and looking at search volumes is just one small part of the process of research. There's lots of more integrated approaches we can take to actually finding out about who your customers are, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. But then feeding that content and those findings into your content, and actually having content that's really focused and feeds through each of those channels. So integrating your digital PR, your social, your PPC, SEO, display together with a succinct message is so much more powerful than looking at SEO as a silo and doing activities with SEO purposes and then doing a social campaign for social activity. If you have that sort of integrated message throughout, it's so much more powerful. But picking a small part of your audience to target, the return on the investment is essentially the resource that you're spending. If you're all working in small segmented approaches, there's more resource required for achieving less results, essentially. So working together. And I think the main part here for us as well is the analytics. So learning from what you've done, using analytics to understand how that campaign actually planned out. What did we learn from that? And then pushing that back into the strategy rather than just seeing the campaign as an end. Let's push our learnings back in. And this can be for seasonal campaigns. This can be for campaigns that you run every month. This could be for ongoing optimization. This rule applies for all of them. So actually, for me, this is a really powerful statement that integrated SEO is actually integrated marketing. And I think for an SEO director to make that statement is quite a bold move. I'm not saying that SEO is dead at all. I actually think it's just that SEO has evolved and it's actually part of marketing. And it's really important to be able to use marketing to understand and get SEO performing in the way that we want it to. So just looking at the marketing in a bit more detail, it's a marketing department's job to sell the story, to understand the users and approach them. So actually SEO is empowering marketers to go out there and help them to find their audience and grow your overall visibility. So for us, I think this is a great thing. It's helping to understand, like I say, who your customers are and to understand what's lacking, what area have we not covered, where are our audience that we haven't managed to tap into yet. And then that is how we can start to have a more integrated approach with marketing, as well as your separate marketing channels in terms of digital. One thing I really think is isn't considered as often as possible, and with clients that we've worked with, this has been the most powerful learning, is that actually what's missing is an integrated structure. So we have integrated marketing, which is SEO, PR, digital PR, content, etc. But what about integrating your structures within your business? So what about agencies? You know, a number of clients may have a number of different agencies. Integrating them together can be so powerful, and we've found many successes from having a succinct strategy where, you know, we shouldn't be afraid to have different agencies working together. If they have a clear objective, let's come together and all work together. And then here, again, with your internal departments, this for me is the key, and this is the one thing out of this presentation that I really want everyone to take away from this, is considering your internal departments and how we can integrate with them to have a more successful strategy. I'm going to go into this now a little bit more detail. At 4P's Marketing, we have identified there are a number of different verticals, and that each of these different verticals will have different internal structures. I'm sure that you all may fit into these, you may not. These are the verticals that we like to really focus on for our clients. So I'm sure that you'll all fall into one of these, but what's important is if we look at one of those in a bit more detail. So retail here. If we look at retail, for example, they will have departments such as a trade-in team or product content writers. Okay, great, but how can we actually use those to integrate into our SEO strategy? Well, this is a case study from a client that we recently did where they found that there was lots of people that are having different impacts on the website. There's lots of people within the business. How do you communicate with them, or how do you integrate with them? Well, the trading team, for example, they have such great knowledge of which products are selling, which products are most important to clients, and we can try and tap into this information. This is going to help us to increase our conversion rates online. You know, the trading team may actually be responsible for moving different parts around on the website to promote different products, but feeding that and integrating that into the marketing team is really key. And also the product content writers, for example, they're actually writing content that's already going onto the website. And in a number of cases, we've seen that these people sit very separately to the marketing department. They may have a crossover with one meeting a month or something, but they're not actually integrated together in the same strategy. So they have the same goal. We're all there to generate more business. So it's more a question of why wouldn't they be integrated rather than why would they? So the high street fashion retailer that we actually did this integration project with, we were talking about a 7-figure revenue from search client, saw an increase in 37% of organic revenue from actually just integrating their different teams, raising their awareness throughout the whole company, and tapping into that knowledge that people have within the business. And then moving just onto a travel client, this is another example where some of our travel clients have call centres. Not every travel client has call centres, but some of them that we've worked with have call centres. These guys are the people that pick up the phones. They're speaking to your customers all the time. They know what questions people are asking. That knowledge is valuable to online, especially coming back to Hummingbird and this change with content being a real focus and answering people's questions. Well, okay, that's the one thing I think we should all do. When we go back to our jobs, look at where potentially are our customers talking. With other clients, it's potentially in support systems they're asking questions, etc. Let's tap into that and try and understand what it is that people are talking about. They also have a localised content department. So this department of writing content about certain locations. They know these locations really well. They know what's popular, what's not popular. So again, let's tap into that. Let's integrate that into our strategy so that we're all working together towards the same thing. in this example with our client, we actually had a content plan for them, where they had their own internal content plan for the next 3 to 6 months. And when we actually got them to go and discuss with their call centres what people were actually asking, we found that actually 50% of the content plan wasn't related to anything that people were actually asking them. So why are we writing this content? And is that because it's for search? Well, maybe we should be considering actually our users first, and not so much the search. Search engines are going to continue to evolve, and they want users to find the information that they're looking for. They don't want content written for the sake of achieving higher rankings. So it is a bit of a change. Change is coming to us, but I actually see this as a positive, and I think sometimes change can be seen as a negative. It's evolving, the industry's evolving, and we need to evolve with it. And essentially, if your competitors are answering these questions that your customers are asking, then they're actually going to be gaining visibility to your customers rather than you. So it's really worth considering. So action. Every time I ever go and see any conferences, I always feel like there needs to be something you can go away and do. It's all great to talk about in theory what we should do, but what can we actually walk away from this session and actually start to do? Well, communication. If everybody in this room can go and ask somebody within their business that's talking to their customers just a bit about what it is that people are asking for, what's the common things that you're constantly asking, and try and see if you're actually answering those questions on your website. If you're not, well, there's a great starting point to try and re-evaluate your strategy. Results. This was one of the most powerful things from doing the projects that we've been doing, is actually feeding back results. If somebody's giving you the time to tell you the answers, give you a bit of research, showing them and feeding back in the results that their feedback has given you is so powerful, and it entices people to want to do it more. And that's how we raise awareness within the business. And it leads nicely onto my next point of awareness. One of our clients, we helped them to arrange a digital lunch bites, which was just 4 weeks, 4 sessions over a lunchtime, where they opened it up to the entire business with sort of set sessions. They brought in some speakers, and they just raised awareness of what it is that they were trying to do. Having an ask around what questions people have, and then just doing some awareness training. It doesn't have to be anything intense courses. Over lunch, bring your sandwiches and come and listen. And just these small adaptations, it doesn't have to be anything drastic, can be really powerful. And then lastly, it's just sharing your strategy. So just actually letting everybody know what it is that you're trying to achieve. What audience are you trying to actually go after? We're not just trying to increase visitors to the website, because actually, that's great to get visitors, but what does that actually mean? We want people that are going to come and convert. We want to reach that audience that are actually looking to purchase your product. And so that's where we should be spending our time and really focusing our niche area. In that, as an example, maybe somebody who provides cowboy holidays in America, they're not going to target the term holidays because it's just too broad. There's going to be so many people searching for holidays, and it's just the audience there is just so great that wouldn't it be better to spend their time really targeting towards cowboy holidays in America? Sorry, awful example, but you get the point. I think it's just about refocusing our strategy so that the return on the investment is there. So I come back then to my sort of original point of integrated SEO is actually integrating marketing together, and this for us, we've seen a lot of successes from just doing some of these smaller activities, and it's just starting to have a more succinct marketing overview.